Welcome to this new Flight Simulator update movie. It has been released, the Top Gun Maverick expansion for Flight Simulator 2020. And the good thing is, or maybe it's not a good thing, that's of course something we will need to find out. There's also an update for Flight Simulator itself, as it looks like. So what is the Top Gun Maverick expansion? What does it contain, right? So actually it's the FA-18E Hornet, but then with a special livery. There are 3 additional missions for the Super Hornet, which look pretty cool, right? So you can do multiple things on that. There are 5 high-speed, low-level challenges, and there's a carrier deck challenge, and that's something I'm really looking forward for. There's a never-before-unveiled hypersonic aircraft that can attain speeds of Mach 10, etc. So that's also cool. And there's a mission to roar into the stratosphere. And there's some, I would say, screenshots already shared by Asobo, right? So you can see the this is probably the carrier landing which you need to perform. Some other cool things. So I would say it looks really amazing. So I just started Flight Simulator, right? And it pops up here, right? You need to update and you need to install roughly 20 megabytes. So that's, I would say, not too much, to be honest. However, if you look at the release notes, there are some changes in there. So I'm wondering if there are more changes than Asobo has, I would say, told us initially. So currently Flight Simulator is loading, right? Which will take some time. So I will pause the recording, and once that's started, I will continue and show you what you need to do as additional steps to get all the content which you will need to fly that nice aircraft. So Flight Simulator has started and you directly see the changes, right? So the left part has been updated. It contains the Maverick activities, and if you click on it, you will see the download, because you of course need to download something first. So when clicking on it, you will go to the content manager, and from there you can click on get and download, and then you will need to download, or it will take 5 gigabytes of disk space. So be aware of that prior to downloading. Make sure that you've got enough disk space. So while downloading, right, we can see the what it includes. Well, this is, I would say, similar to what was on the release notes. And of course you must run Flight Simulator 1.25.9.0. And actually that's the same version as which was already available, right, for most of us. So let's see what was downloading. Will probably take some time. And then once that has been completed, we can have a look what's really being added, right? Because that's something I'm really curious about. So task purchase was succeeded in the top menu, but as you saw, it was a free update, right? That was also announced by Asobo. It's a free update. So it's really cool because you don't have to pay anything for it. So we're at almost half the internet speed, or half of the speed, or half the size, sorry, of the file. And other than that, nothing has changed a lot, right? But that's probably because it didn't actually install the update, or it installed an update, but it didn't install the actual content. It's like, let's say, the world update, right? You install an update, but then you still need to install the world update content after that. So 1.4, sorry, and a little bit Dutch in between. That's the zipped size, and then it will decompress it, and that's the part which starts now. Keep in mind that during this, I would say, phase, it could be that Flight Simulator sometimes freezes a bit. So I always let, I would say, my computer do what it needs to do, and then I would say once that's completed, then I will start flying again. Because in some scenarios, if you are gonna fly right now, right? Let's assume that I'm starting a flight, then it will probably, I would say, the performance will not be that best compared to what it normally is. So 1.3. So they're all separate zips, as it looks like. So that's cool. So there it is, right? So let's go back, and then you see that this is grayed out, right? So you can't click on it. It's a little bit weird. I would have expected that you can click on it, but let's have a look at the activities menu, because there I would at least expect some things. And indeed, there is the specific Maverick activities. So if you click on that, you will have a say challenges, but you also have the training for the F-18 Hornet. I think this one was already part of Flight Simulator, although no, this wasn't, because these are, I would say, the special maneuvers like the high performance takeoff, the ridge crossing and the split S maneuvers, so that, I would say, looks really nice. If we go back one level, we can see all the challenges. So the Rive Lake, the Ridge Mountains, the Sidewinder AB, the Janet Glacier, the Toy Jape Canyon, and then the advanced challenges, which include the San Diego carrier recovery, but also a new aircraft. So let's first look at the, I would say, Maverick itself, right? So for that, I do expect... Oh, that's also cool. Now it works. So you can have, I would say, short link, click on this one, and then you can go to it. But that requires you to, I would say, first go to another screen. So if I go to the world map, right, and then select the aircraft, there you will find the Hornet, which is this one. And then if you go to the Hornet, you will find the special livery, which is the Boeing Maverick livery. It looks like this one, so you can see that there are, say, the default one is there, the Xbox and the Aviators Club is there, but also the Maverick one. Pretty cool to see. So let's give it a try, right? So let's try to do one of the so shall we do one of the challenges? Shall we do it? Which one shall we select? Let's do the hard one, right? So let's try to land on the carrier. I'm pretty sure that I will fail first time, but let's see how it goes. So it's loading as we speak, right? So here you can see what you need to do, right? You need to land on the carrier San Diego, and you need to, say, to try to capture probably the, I would say, line which is in front of it. Here it says, also Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick, carrier landing challenge starts. Well, let's start Flight Simulator. Let's see how it works, because I'm really curious. So simply click on fly, and then we will, I would say, go to the carrier, right? So this is the view, right, from inside, but if you go outside, you can also have a look at the aircraft itself, of course, and then you can see the nice livery, right? So that, I would say, it looks really cool. You can also see that the hook is down, and that's the hook which needs to be connected to the wire I was just talking about. So I'm gonna go inside the cockpit again, because I need to fly. I'm gonna decrease speed a bit. And as mentioned, right, this will probably fail, but hey. So on the top of the screen you can see multiple things, right? It's also my first flight with this one, so I'm not well, I don't know exactly what they mean, but that's something I will figure out, and then we'll probably record a separate video about that. So currently everything is green, and green probably means it's good, except the, I would say, middle thing. It says, okay, yellow. So that could be that that's the, I would say, aim of attack. You can also see that now on the, let's say, on the carrier itself, green lights are burning. So let's see if we can. Now it's red, so red probably means it's really bad. Yeah, so probably gonna skip it. See, this was not a good idea. So we waved off the runway, so let's give it another try. Well, actually we didn't wave off the runway. Here's it explained. So prior to click on fly, let's discuss it. So the green ones are good. The yellow line or the yellow dot needs to be in the center, then it's good. If the yellow dot is on the bottom, it's not good. And you can also see that the carrier itself contains some lights. This one, the speed, right, the angle of attack, it needs to be in the center like this. If it's red, then it's not good, you're going too fast. If it's green, you're going too slow. So roughly, say 130. So let's see if we can land on the aircraft, or land on the aircraft carrier, I should say. Oh, ready to fly. Let's go inside. So currently it's green, right? You can see that the angle of attack is, I would say, good. At least we need to decrease a bit, because it's complaining that we're going too fast. Currently you don't see the, I would say, information on the top, right? So that's, I would say, probably later. Now we need to increase speed again, because now we're going too slow. And then you will probably end up, I would say, under the deck instead of on the deck. And now you see the system, right? So we're now too high. So we need to decrease. But we also need to keep an eye on our speed, of course. I'm really wondering when that center line goes to green. Because my feeling says that we're good, but that's just my feeling. Now we're going to slow again. There comes the yellow line, right? So now we're too low. That's already what I expected a bit. Yeah, that's also what I figured out myself, my friends. But you will get some help from the people on deck. Now we're going far too fast, so... And again, we're going too fast. See, we're out of view. So what we did is, we went, let's say, too high, then we decreased speed too much, and then we went too slow. Well, I'll give it one other try, right? Because I want to see if I can pass it. And also, we'll probably need to practice, because based on the score list, it looks like that several people already passed that score, right? So it should be doable, but maybe I simply need to practice a little bit more, because of course I don't know how much time those people spend on practicing. So we're going to keep an eye on the speed itself. We're going to fly like this. Put a little bit of pressure that we're decreasing speed a bit, or decreasing altitude a bit, I should say. Now decrease speed also a bit. So for now, green lights are burning, at least below the deck. So that is, I assume it's good. So don't get distracted by the yellow dot yet, because the yellow dot, I would say, comes into position pretty late. At least from what I just saw. Now the green lights on the left side are burning, right? You can see it.
Clara, you're high.
Too high.
You're high.
Yeah, I know. There comes the arrow down. Now watch out that we're not going to go too low. Well, at least we now landed on the aircraft. But again, right, it was not good enough. But enough tries, right? I'm not gonna, I would say, let you watch me, I would say, fail for a fourth time. Because I'm also very curious about that other aircraft which has never been released. Right, so let's go into the menu and let's try to find it. So let's see where it is. Since it doesn't have a name, it might be... Oh, it's the experimental Dark Star. It's an experimental aircraft. It only comes with one livery, which is the black one. So let's go to, let's say, what shall we do? Probably Charlotte. Then we've got here Ronald Reagan, and then I think here we should have somewhere the Joint Air Force Base from Andrews. We're gonna change it to daylight, else it's too dark. And then we're gonna have a look how that aircraft looks like. So this is an additional aircraft. I already heard some rumors and read some rumors on the internet that it might not be the quality which we expect it to be. but let's have a look at it, right? I'm always open for new aircrafts and try them, especially if they're free, right? Lately there have been, I would say, multiple releases of paid aircraft, which are all huge quality, I would say, and definitely if you have some money to spend, then you should really consider looking at those aircrafts, make a decision on it, right, which one you buy. Concorde is, I would say, a really nice one, but also the price is, I would say, really attractive, while the other ones, they are more advanced, so keep that in mind. They require a lot of practicing, but also have a lot of more functionality in some scenarios. So we're going to click on ready to fly because I first want to look at the aircraft itself. So this is the aircraft, right? So it's an experimental one. It's, I would say, yeah, it looks pretty cool. So if we go to the details, you can see the details here. Say pretty basic, right? Also a little bit, it looks really modern. So if we turn the stuff, it also works. But here you can see, right, it's, I would say, yeah. I've got my ideas about it, to be honest. But okay, it's nice. Lights are working. Probably the pilot sits here. Yeah, that's too cool too. Again, it's an experimental aircraft, right? So it's all a high-tech. You can see that they spend some time on the details, because if you look at this piece, right, you can really see the usage, and you can, if you look at the, let's say, system of the gear system, also looks really detailed, as well as the gears on the back. So let's go inside and let's see how we can fly it. So this is the panel which we have, right? So there's currently is no camera available. Not sure why not. Probably because we need to fly a little bit higher. If we look at the rest of the cockpit, it looks detailed, right? There are also a lot of buttons, and some of them are working, some of them are also not working, but that's kind of expected. All green lights, so should be okay. Then this one is to open the cover, as it looks like. Engine scramjet. No, it's not to open the cover, it's engine scramjet, so this is for the engine. Then we've got several buttons for the, let's say, for the display. Then here we've got the communication radios, navigation radio, the transponder, the emergency fuel transfer, emergency H2 dump to dump fuel, but that one doesn't work. And then we've got some other buttons here, which are mainly inoperative, which means that they simply don't work. Joystick, of course, can we hide it? Yes, we can. Here we've got a throttle, and then including the speed brake, the normal, yeah, this is speed brake, and the throttle. And then on the right side, we can see the APU and the starter engine, right? So both, I would say, parts which allow you to start the engine and the APU. Then we've got the ECS here, which contains the bleed air, the defrog, the flight controls over here, yoke visibility. There's several meters here. Then over here we've got the engine reset and the engine generators, and then the fuel cells. Here we've got some meters about the percentage. Not sure what the percentage RPM, which means, I would say, the amount of turns the engine makes, then the temperature, and then what's the fuel flow. So let's see how it flies. I'm gonna move the mouse. I'm gonna remove the parking brake. You can see that accelerates like crazy. Sound is a little bit electric. Maybe it's an electric aircraft. No, it has fuel, so joking. And we're airborne already. So I would say that was a pretty smooth landing. So what you can now also see is that the camera started working, right? So probably the reason that the camera doesn't work is due to the fact that it, I would say, doesn't work on the ground, and you can switch to different camera views. Although I do think that this is maybe zoom. Yeah, this is zooming. So this is probably to drop the bombs or something. So speed goes crazy, right? We're also climbing like crazy, so let me put the nose a little bit down. We're at 0.7 Mach, so we've decreased, or I would say climbing rate a bit, which will probably make the aircraft even go faster. Fuel flow and pressure is good, right? It has, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4 engines, although 3 and 4 are probably not working, as it looks like. Center of gravity is currently 19%. That's CG.
Andrews Tower Experimental Alpha Sierra Delta Kilo Sierra frequency change.
And then here we can see the engine, right? So this is the temperature, and that's, I would say, forward, and then after. So you can see that the engine is massively heating up the air, and it's running on 105% the RPM. So let me decrease it a bit. We're at almost, we were at almost 1 Mach. So it works. I would say the sound of the aircraft is a little bit weird. Right, you would expect something from, I'd say, a fighter like this. Also no, I'd say, flames. And maybe if we increase speed. No, even then not. So that's, I would say, a pity, right? That would have been really nice. But that's not the case. So here's the, I would say, inlet temperatures, right? So this is where the air comes in the engine. And then if you would say continue to do this, normally you shouldn't do this, then you will see the engines themselves, or this, sorry, these are the gears. So we're going through the engines, and then you will come at the other end with the other engines, with the exhaustion. So I'd say it looks really cool, right? So you can do a lot of tricks with the aircraft. It also reacts pretty fast. So let's look at the views. So the weird thing is that's one of the things which is weird, is that it says it has 4 engines, but actually only 2 engines are running. So I'm wondering if that's an issue with the aircraft or if that's expected. I would expect that the engine, or that the aircraft only has 2 engines. And it looks like the other engines are not working, or maybe they're not started right, but that means that if you, let's say, are using it as is, so as we just did, simply say start on the runway, then you probably need to start the engines at that moment. So here we are, right? So we're flying close to Washington. Flight Simulator doesn't like it a bit. It's a little bit stuttering it, as you can see. So let's go inside again. So a lot of nice things, right? You can see the where you're flying here. You can see the zoom elevation here, so that gives, I would say, an overview of where you are. So it's a nice aircraft. Unfortunately, some of the systems are not working, and some of the things like engine 3 and 4 that are not used, that might be a thing which we need to understand, or which I need to understand a little bit better, because actually I was expecting that those engines would be started. If you look at this piece, I'd say it looks like that it only has a left and a right engine, because there are only 2 buttons here. So looks like that engine 3 and 4 simply don't exist on this one. Other than that, yeah, it works, right? That's good. Looking at the rest of the aircraft, it doesn't have an autopilot or something, but that's also in most cases not the case with these kind of jets. It has some options to switch on the lights, for example, the landing light. It has some options to, or I thought it has an option, but yeah, landing gear, of course, parking brakes. Emergency gear extended, the engine reset buttons, and then these are the generators which we already discussed, right? So here you can set the speed brakes, and if you push that button, you can see that the aircraft starts to decrease, right? So if you want to decrease speed, Then this is the button you're looking for. You can also remove it. So the park and brakes are set here, right? So they are different, right? So keep that in mind. So if you want to decrease the speed, you can press this button. Then you will see directly that the aircraft starts slowing down. And if you want to increase speed again, then you can release it. The other buttons, although they show the label gear, they don't have a function as of now. And here you can see where you're flying, right? So you can pretty zoom in closely to give you an idea where you are. Of course, you also have the VFR map, right? So you can still use the VFR map. The other buttons are not working, unfortunately, as well as the, I would say, changing the fuel flow, right, from after to forward, to change the center of gravity. That also doesn't work as we speak. But maybe there will be a secret update from Asobo fixing that. Then, of course, how can you change the radio? This part which we didn't look at yet. So you can simply click on it, and based on that you can type in a new number, so 11490. You don't have to press the dot, and then simply hit enter. And then if you changed it, you can easily use the buttons in front of it to change the passive one to the active one. And the same is applicable for the communication radios. The transponder itself, same story, right? You can set it to off, you can set it to standby, right? You can set alt, and those are the options. Alt and standby are the options which you can use, and then you can push in the transponder code so that everybody knows who you are. Well, we're a secret aircraft, we're an experimental aircraft flying in Flight Simulator. So nice, right? So are there any other things which we can look at? Well, the avionics brightness, well, that's something you can change, right? So this is the hot mode, so you can set it to off today or tonight, right? Because if you probably change the let's say time, and that's the nice thing of Flight Simulator, right? You can make it dark. Like this. And then you're flying in the night, and then you might want to set it, instead of the, I would say, huge display, you might want to set it to night, right? And that's also what you're seeing. You can still change the, let's say, brightness of the displays. The same thing is here, right? You can decrease it, and you can also move this one to night. So these are the, I would say, buttons which allow you to control the, what is it? Control the lightning intensity in the aircraft. So you can see we're still, I would say, going crazy fast. It's really cool. Let's see how it looks from the outside. We need to go to the different view, to the drone view. So here we are, right? So a secret object flying over the US. With a crazy high speed. But it works. I would say it's really flexible, and you can make a lot of turns with it and have a lot of fun with it. Keeping an eye on the altitude, of course, because we don't want to crash in this case. Maybe it's better to go inside the aircraft. Oh, I think it's too late. Yeah, we crashed. So that's a good moment to stop this video. So I hope you liked this video. In this video we looked at the Maverick edition, which has been released earlier today, which gives you both a livery for the already existing FA-18 Hornet, but it gives you also a lot of challenges which you can do, and there's a new experimental aircraft. Hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions, then feel free to post them in the comment box below, and if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.